Hey everyone, happy Thursday. I was just having a thought that I had to go live on. So listen, I was just reading a form where one of the questions, it's for the coaching program at Beacon by MC. Woo! It was at the coaching program by Beacon by MC. Hi everyone. And this is what happens when you have arms, So one of the questions we ask is like, what are you looking for in a coach? Like, because we want to make sure like we give you everything you want. Anyway, it's not a sales pitch. This is much more important than a sales pitch. Let me be clear. This woman wrote this. Hi, this woman wrote, I just want someone who doesn't bully me and who is nice to me. So anyway, I talked to her and I was like, so here's the thing. If you have a coach, if you have a friend, all the things, and that's how they are to you, especially if you're in a transactional relationship with them. Now, listen, I'm in a lot of transactional relationships where I love people, but at the end of the day, they pay me, I work for them. Doesn't always feel that way. I'm like, you need to fire any coach that you're working with in that moment where they're treating you that way. Like that's a given. Like a given is they're not mean to me, they don't abuse me. Now, I need to say I've been holding this back because I do like to get into fights, but it's been suggested to me that I shouldn't get into fights on the internet. I'm such a feisty little one. I can't help it. I read this post by a coach, a weight loss coach, and this is what it said in the post. I read this like 3 months ago and I still can't get rid of it. You'll understand why. It said, every single weight loss program works. You're the problem. The common problem of weight loss programs not working is that you're the problem. I'm like, holla what? Holla what? And here's the thing. And this is a lot about learned helplessness, which I'm posting about all the ding dong day right now, because learned helplessness is what happens when we're constantly abused. And then we end up like believing the abuser. It's like Stockholm, so we end up protecting the abuser. Like we have to believe that that's true. So can I just first of all say, like, not all weight loss programs work. I mean, I've had people talk to me about the caffeine diet. I mean, that's definitely not true. And you're never the problem. I mean, you're not a problem. You're wonderful. So, I mean, I think our criteria, I mean, it's so sad how beaten and like beat up we've gotten, where we are at this low level when it comes to our bodies and our health and our relationship with food and our relationship with ourselves, like what we will accept when it comes to choosing who is going to help to guide us towards the freedom that we deserve when it comes to our relationship with food and weight. Now, I have a whole podcast coming out about this with David Wiss, who I love. And we're talking all about this toxic tribalism and how it happens and how helpers get into camps. But, I just want to say this other thing about diet culture, which is getting you freedom is a really bad business plan. And there's been a lot of research on this about conventional diet programs. They try to keep you in the system. It makes a lot of sense. Acquiring a customer takes a lot of time, energy, and money. But man, you got to know that when you go into this game. We forget that we have choices. We get battered down, we get beat up, and we'll just take what we can get. And that's got to end. That's got to end. We have to be selective. And we have to be really clear about not believing the hype, because we get beaten down and we get bullied. And then somebody, some coach or some therapist or some program is sitting saying, you're the problem. And we're like, all right, I'm the problem. Okay. And then we're somehow thinking that somebody bullying us and hustling us and, really being tough on us is like an effective way. It's not. There's no research that supports this. Is the first thing I want to say. There's no research that supports this. And I would say in the very beginning of my career, like I did some of that. And what I want to be transparent with you about is healers are humans. And I was deep in my own stuff, It was about me. It wasn't about you, and I had to do my own work. And here I am, like deeply understanding how to help people to find their solution. Like the solution is inside of you. And the role of any coach or therapist or sponsor or like whatever we're talking about here is to help bring out that part of you that is already in there, right? Sometimes that means like highlighting that you have a problem with sugar, highlighting that you have a problem with restricting, like EIEIO. And sometimes those conversations are uncomfortable. Sometimes I'm like comfortable in uncomfortable conversations this far down my career. You know what I mean? But never are they bullying, right? Never are they unkind. I hope that everybody I've ever treated, knows that I adore them. I adore them. And I'm here to fiercely help them get free. But so this is about you finding your own way. The only thing we know that works when it comes to finding a solution to your issues with food is self-determination. And which means that you find it within you, that why, the whole nine of it. Like that's the deal. Like, I'm sorry, is this some kind of expose to everybody? Are we that deeply entrenched in diet culture? Are we that deeply entrenched? We have that kind of Stockholm syndrome that we're still looking to this quicker way? We are. It's true. And so we're in this pattern where we're either deep in learned helplessness, right? Which is like, I just can't get well. I'm just going to lay here and be dead. Or we're looking for this intermittent reinforcement, which is this quick high, which is not sustainable. And here we are. And we wonder why we think it's acceptable that we have coaches telling us that we're the problem. It's not acceptable. It's got to end. It's actually going to be the barrier between you and finding your solution. And here's the other reason why, because when you're believing that, write this down. When you're believing that, you actually can't access your own wisdom. While you're believing that you're the problem, you cannot access the inner wisdom, tap into it the way that you need to. But you do get some in a book. You do continue in the cycle of diet culture. So they're grateful for it, but I'm not. Here's the truth about behaviorism. So please stay away from the bullies. I have had so many people in my career say this to me, I need someone who's really hard on me. And I'm kind of like, do you? Why? That's our first therapy. That's our first issue in therapy today. Why do you need someone who's hard on you? Now, listen, I need somebody who can clearly see my issues and see, the blind spots in what I'm thinking. Different story. I do that all the ding dong day, right? But somebody who's hard on me, that's sort of the first thing we got to look at if we're being really honest here. Like, okay, but here's what I came to tell you. There are two things we know in behaviorism. This is research. And this is like in parenting research. This is in dog training research. Like the theories of behaviorism are like go across the board. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Here are the two ways that we actually change. Number one, through natural consequences, right? So in like the 12-step, like hitting bottom, through like, yeah, I want to go binge my brains out. Okay, I feel really sick. Okay, I have some kind of desire to work on this binging problem. Okay, great, right? Or when I lived with 4 dogs and all the humans wanted to take the dogs away, and the leader of the dog pack, the human, said, let them work it out on their own. That's natural consequences. Here's the second way. This is going to be, for many of you watching this, this is going to be like positive reinforcement. That's what we know for sure. We know it with kids. We know it with dogs. We know it across the board in behaviorism. Positive reinforcement is actually the way that people change in a permanent way. So if you are looking to change your life in a permanent way, stop looking at these people who are victim shamers, who find that part of you that is so vulnerable and has created such a negative story and such a false narrative that you're the problem, so that you can sort of like, that's a bad repetition. That's a trance of unworthiness, like Tara Brach says. Stop finding people that corrupt that part of you. If you can do that, you're on your way. Feel free to fire people who treat you unkindly if they're working for you. Gosh, if someone fired me on that terms, I'd be so quick in therapy and in my power circle figuring out what I needed to do differently. OMG. OMG. You are lovable. You are worth healing. You are worth giving it another shot. Let's do this. Let's do this, team. A peaceful, loving relationship with food is very possible. It is very possible. Breaking up with dieting has to be a part of whatever plan you decide is going to work for you. This has to be a part of it. You got to see it for what it is. Side note, one Sunday a month, I do a workshop on divorcing dieting. Come learn about this. Come learn how to get out of this system. It's amazing. But don't come, I'll still do it on Instagram. Couldn't care less. Just want you to be free. Someone hasn't told you that they love you today? I do. Oh, thanks everyone. Hi, Queen.